Hi, this is Kathy from In Your Corner, where decision, commitment, and accountability will put you on the path to your destiny. Do you struggle balancing your relationship with God and your desire for personal and professional development? There's a certain measure of mastery that has to occur that can only come from God before advancement or promotion can occur. You know God's purpose is for you to fulfill your destiny. The problem many women have is timing. God's timing is not your timing. And delayed never means denied. God is never late, but He's seldom early when it comes to us. If God gave you exactly what you wanted when you wanted it, you would not need God at all. And He would never get the glory. So when we look at mastery before advancement, God gets reduced to second place in our lives. Remember, without God, you can do nothing. It's been my experience that God will show you the vision, and the vision is exciting. You're motivated to jump in, but the vision is for an appointed time. He has to show us the vision so that we know He has a plan for our lives and that we can trust Him. If you're out of timing with God's timing, then you are putting an Ishmael before God and wanting Him to bless it. God wants you to do things according to His plan in His timing, not yours. Trust Him to bring your vision to pass. Don't execute without God. He's God and He knows exactly what He's doing. No matter where you are in life, there's something over there that's needed to master your destiny. Hindsight is always 20/20. You always have to go through things to prepare you for your ultimate destination. Without a test, you cannot have a testimony. You have to experience some things, and those experiences sometimes can be painful and difficult to overcome, but they're invaluable to propel you to your destiny. My guest today is a relationship guru. She specializes in marriage and family counseling. Although her experience is not limited to people who are married, everyone has a family. I want to introduce you to Dr. Rhonda Jefferson, VIP Counseling. Dr. Jefferson, thank you for joining me today.
Kathy, it's such a pleasure to be here with you today, and I just thank you for inviting me. What you're talking about is so crucial today because we live in an era of microwave. We want everything instant. We want everything fast. We don't want to go through a process because a process means I have to slow my roll and I have to plan and execute and make things happen prayerfully. And that's not what we really want to do. We just want to take off and get that six-figure, get that man, get them babies, and life is beautiful.
So many women can identify with what you're saying. They have been through such a tremendous process just to get the career of their dreams, make the income that they're seeking. However, what most women fail to realize is that each step you take toward achieving your destiny requires a process. So, Dr. J, can you share some common themes you encounter regarding mastery before advancement?
There are a lot of women and men, not just women, who don't take the time to find out who they are, what they want, what is in store for them. There are people that are going to be in your life for different reasons. And that's a process. It's just like being on a train. The train stops. It is an opportunity for people to get on and off. And a lot of times we will hold people in that position. We don't want them to go. You're my BFF for life. Where you going? We have to stay together. But I firmly believe that God has a timing for each person that comes across. There will be some that stays with you forever. There will be some that are only there for a minute. And so what happens is when you get to that stop, if you don't let that person off, then the next person that is to take you to the next level will not be able to get on.
Agreed. It happens so often.
Yes.
Where you encounter people that are just stuck trying to transition from careers, trying to transition in relationships, trying to grow professionally, trying to take their businesses to the next level, and it all becomes a part of God is trying to take them in one direction and get them to shed some of the weight off their bus. Instead, they want to carry all these people and add more people. And the bus can only hold so many riders.
Exactly.
Have you ever encountered people who seek to omit the process and expect God to bless the plan?
All the time people do that. Life is like a puzzle. If God told you everything that he planned to do with you in one swoop, you would not be able to handle it. And you would lose your mind.
For sure.
So, knowing that, because he is a God that knows all things, that knows our tomorrow, and, better than we know our yesterday. And so we have to trust him. Each time he'll give you little nuggets. And to me, I take them as puzzle pieces. And as you put that puzzle piece down and you step back, it doesn't look like anything yet.
Agreed.
And you're still trying to figure out, well, what am I doing? Where am I going? How am I going to do this? And then he sends you another nugget. And after a while, these pieces start fitting in a puzzle. And you can step back and look at it and say, wow, now I know where I'm going. Now I know the plan that God has for my life. Not the plan that everybody else has. I remember as a child, my mother, her big thing was to make me a wife and a mother.
Wow.
She did not want me to go to college because if anybody went to college, it would be the boys. They had to support their families. You're going to get married. You're going to have a family. So her mission in life was to teach me how to cook, how to clean, how to bake, how to knit. I can make you a sweater. Not a problem.
Awesome.
My mother's goal was to make me this housewife. And totally convinced me that I couldn't get a house unless I had a husband. I'm sure she was
surprised at all that you've accomplished without having a husband or without, right? Or she was shocked by the fact that you decided that you're not going to do that. You're going to do a different route.
A different route than what she planned.
Exactly.
And one day I was sitting on my job and God spoke to me and said, no one can take credit for what I have done in your life.
That's right.
The plan that my mother had was not the plan that God had.
Exactly.
And as I look back as a child, people have always been comfortable talking to me and telling me their business. I could stand on a line at a supermarket and I say, hey, how you doing? And they turn around and start telling me their life story. And so little by little, I would find myself in situations, and next thing I know, I'm taking a master's program for counseling,
It's amazing because it was working with college students and seeing all these students in upper division undergraduate courses preparing to graduate and did not know how to map from graduation to employment that led to In Your Corner. It was like this repeated cycle of people that wanted to transition from where they were and had no idea how to get from here to there. But what's unique to it is that nobody wants to go through the process. They want this microwave kind of thing, but it's the process where you really, really learn. When you look at God and relationships, I think back when I was listening at you talking about how God didn't take the Israelites on an 11-day journey because they ran back to Pharaoh. It's pretty amazing. It took them 40 years to reach the promised land. Their feet didn't swell, their clothes didn't outgrow, nothing happened, but it took them 40 years to wander around the wilderness because he knew. The key is he knew that they couldn't handle the most direct route. So whether a person gets there in 40 years, in 11 days, in 5 days, in 4 years, in 8 years, nobody ever looks at where you start. They only look at where you end. When you and I continue to get together and we talk about different things, and oftentimes we do, people looking at my life and they're saying, man, this is awesome. You looking at the credits. Man, I've been through some things. Okay? And you coming in on the credits. Okay?
Exactly. The clean part that looks nice.
Right, exactly.
You didn't see the rugged area.
No, you didn't. Exactly. And I'm just so thankful that I had an ear that could hear what God was saying about, I know what I'm doing in this process. I'm purifying you. I'm directing you. I'm ordering your steps. This is working out for your good. I'm so glad for all those things. So what advice would you give women who are in this predicament?
Breathe. Just stop and breathe. A lot of times we're so busy that I gotta do it. We don't take the time out to breathe. In the process of what God is doing in your life, you can take time out to get to know you. If you're fragmented, get healed. As especially African American people, we've never been afforded the luxury of taking care of ourselves in the mental health area. We haven't. It was always you talk to grandma, you talk to big mama,
You talk to the preacher.
everybody's fine.
That's right.
Get over it.
That's right.
Get over
Exactly.
it. We never allow ourselves to process how we really feel about these things.
Exactly.
And so what you end up having is one fragmented person finding another fragmented person.
Agreed.
And you're thinking that you're going to pull it together and become whole, but you're not. You're not.
Just got
it's
two
impossible.
Fragmented people
Trying to make something happen.
Right.
So in the time that you don't have the other person, I see it as this is an opportunity for God to work in you as an individual so that he can work in you, he can work in him. Because the last thing you want to do is let God work in you and now you got to help God fix this one. Don't take on no projects.
Hello.
Don't.
How many times have you told me that? Don't take on no projects.
Let God do what he does best.
Thank you.
He fixes people.
Exactly.
We can't.
Agreed.
We can only fix ourselves as God shows us ourselves.
Awesome.
And so in the process of that, let God work in him. Let God work in you. When you come together, you got something to work with. Get off of the biological clock.
Please do.
Let that thing tick out and leave you alone. Because as well as you keep listening to it, oh, I got to get married. I'm this age, and by this age, I should have been this. I should have did that. I should have been there. Stop. Everybody does not. There is no rule that says by 22 you must be married and have 3 children. There is no rule.
Agreed.
Women are waiting until later in life in their 40s to start families.
Agreed.
And it's okay.
It is.
It's all right. But we have this pressure. And then if we date somebody more than 2 years, what you going to do? What you going to do? Well, what you going to do? How come y'all ain't married?
Hello?
What's going on? Don't let nobody pressure you.
And don't let nobody set the standard for you. You set the standard for yourself.
Exactly.
Agreed. So I'm so glad you brought up the issue of standards. Everybody is trying to live up to other people's expectation. It's pretty amazing whether those expectations are the expectations of the spouse, expectation of the employer, expectation of my parents. I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to let this person down. I want to impress this person. It is just way too much of a burden for one person to have to carry. I have been really into this mode of how about doing you? Because that is so important.
And people don't get to see that. You grow up with your mother telling you what she expects, what your father expects. You don't want to disappoint.
Right.
So you start working toward what you think they expect from your life. And yeah, it could be so far from what you want. Then you've got your peers. You've got the love in your life. You've got so many different people that are trying to speak
into your life. This is why you can't hear God speaking in your life, because you got all these other voices speaking and you're seeking the approval of all these other people so that you don't feel inadequate, isolated, alone. It's good. You can hear God real good when it's just you and him.
And that's the problem. We don't get to be just you and him. We have all these people, and he speaks so softly and gently.
You said something.
And you have to actually slow yourself down.
And be still.
And be still to hear him.
That's right.
But we've got so much going on.
Phones beeping and email coming in and I am going and text messages and who called and who said what and what the president said and oh my goodness, am I going to have a job? And
it's so overwhelming.
It is.
And God is saying, honey,
hello,
just slow down.
Right.
I got a word. To me. I want to tell you something.
Right.
And yet we're so overwhelmed with everything else that's going on, we miss the simplicity that he brings.
Agreed.
And we're so busy listening to everyone else and trying to make sure you please everybody.
And this is why you're not happy.
And when your ways please him,
right,
He'll make your enemies at rest.
Thank you.
He'll put everything to peace.
That's right.
You just got to please him.
And you trying to please everybody else instead of him.
And
you wonder why your life is on a path to where it is. Because you're listening to the wrong voices, right?
And they're loud.
They are.
We just get so busy trying to fulfill everybody else's expectation of who we are.
Right.
You know, I did not go nowhere near my mother's expectations.
And guess what? Your mother still loves you.
Oh,
try that.
My mother is overwhelmed and surprised and totally freaked out by.
I'm sure she has a testimony to tell all her friends now. Look at what my daughter did. You not really wanted her to do this, and she actually did that. And guess what? I didn't think that was ever going to work,
and it
did.
And it worked.
Right. And she, look, all them boys are right here in the location with me, and she way on the other side of the globe, and it's
taking
working.
Care of God's business.
Thank you.
God had to move me 3,000 miles away from my family to get my attention. He had to move me in order for me
to hear him.
Stop and listen.
And hear him.
And he promised me when I go back there, they won't even recognize me. And it is so true.
And it's amazing every single time you go back. They're like, what? I never thought. I know. It happens every single time you go back.
Awesome. Because you know when the smoke settles down.
That's right.
All you can say is, nobody but God.
That's right. Exactly.
Nobody but God did this in my life.
Right.
I think about my education, bachelor's to master's or doctorate. I think about just recently becoming licensed as a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have traveled this world. And when I think about my life and the plan that God had, it so supersedes everything I even thought I was going to be doing.
I agree. When I look back at all the education, the teaching, the work experience, the everything, the raising kids, the marriage, the everything, I can look back and say it all worked together for my good. But I'm through the fire, through the rain, and I can look back at that situation and go, wow, I didn't think I was going to survive that. And I came out of that and was better for it and understand why I had to go that path.
Without any smoke or scars.
What you talking about?
You don't need it. It's like he takes you through it. And he delivers you into what he wants, his purpose. Exactly. Because we all have a purpose.
That's right.
There is a plan that he has for us.
Exactly.
And we just got to line up.
Exactly.
We just got to line up. We just got to be in line with what he wants and how he wants it and when he wants it.
Exactly.
His timing. We don't want his permissive will.
No, we don't.
We want his perfect will.
That's right.
We don't want him to say, you know what, you don't wore me out about that one little thing. I'm gonna let you go ahead and do it. Go on.
That's right. You be like getting them quails.
And then you be coming back to the drawing board. But God, why did you let me? You did this.
That's right. You created that Ishmael that we was talking about.
You could have waited. You could have just said, you know what? While I'm in a waiting pattern, let me do life.
Exactly.
Not just, oh, well, every time I walk through the door, I'm looking to see if that's the brother. Does he have a ring on his finger? Let me see. What does he look like? Well, that could be him. Instead of worrying about all that kind of stuff, live your life.
And that's the truth.
You want a diamond ring? Buy it.
Thank you.
You want a house?
And you want a house? Buy it. You absolutely
right. You don't have to wait.
Exactly. You are so right.
You don't have to wait.
You are
live life.
So right. I was living life and thought I wasn't going to never get married again when I met my husband. I was living life. Understand me?
That's what you do. And
having a great time. And my minor children at the time said, Mom, I like him. And they usually don't like anybody other than their daddy, right? They're like, I like him. I like him or who? Because I am living life and doing me and them. Mm-hmm. We doing tours of the fire station. We doing fun stuff. And the furthest thing from my mind was marriage. It was about doing me and investing in my kids for the life that I wanted them to have. And then suddenly, believe me, it was a suddenly, right? I had to do a double take at my own husband because I really wasn't, my mind was not there. I was not there. God knew that I wanted to get married again. but I was not actively. I've learned my lesson about asking God to blow on my plans. I just want to let you know. So now I'm just like, whatever time you say it's a good time for me, okay? Mm-hmm. I don't even ask God to blow. No, I'm good. I'm so good, okay? And he brings us, look at it. Oh, no. Right? Then all that fear and stuff start coming back from, no. You chose that problem. I chose this person.
Okay. And that makes a difference because a lot of times the average woman who talks about getting married again, she always or getting married for the first time even. She said when she finally stopped looking, because the word says, happy is the man that findeth a woman. He finds a good thing.
That's right.
Now, when we get busy in our lives and we get to the point where if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm still going to be okay.
Right.
So when we get into that mindset, that's when things start happening.
That's right.
Because we're not enforcing it or trying to make it happen.
Right, exactly.
And that's when we walk upon
that
something.
Is just the blessing, and that, I think, comes in growing and developing a good relationship and a good walk with God.
Exactly.
Right? When God puts a desire in my heart, as long as I'm pursuing God, God's pursuing the desire, and that's a good thing. But when I start pursuing the desire, it's a bad thing.
You're gonna miss
because he stops.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not pursuing him. Because it's like, you're doing this, I'm going to take my hands off of it so you can get the glory. But if you go pursue me, I'm going to bring you the desires of your heart. And God does exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ever ask or think. But people they don't want to wait. They don't want to grow. Mm-hmm. They don't want to develop. They just say, God, this is the way I want it. And it's like, no.
Well, see,
this path leads to death.
A lot of times we sit there and we say, okay, I'm going to pray and I'm going to ask God for this man. And I'm going to believe God for him to bring this person into my life. All right. So now we put it in God's hands. Then a friend comes around and says, girl, I went on this website and I found this dating site and I found this, that, and the other. Why don't you try it? And so now you don't sit right over here. And now you're starting this whole little dating thing over here. Now, when that falls apart and it doesn't work the way you think it's going to work, or you thought it would work because it worked for her, now you want to go back to God. What? How come? And he's saying, baby, what you talking about?
Right. I didn't tell you to go over there.
No. You don't took that problem back. It's no longer mine. I no longer have it as something that you're trusting me for.
Right.
You gave it to me. You came and you took it back. So what are you talking about?
Exactly.
I no longer have that. And then we get all fearful and upset with God when we've taken it back. Now we wonder why he ain't working. It ain't his situation anymore.
Thank you.
It's yours.
Exactly. I want to thank you so much for sharing your experience. I know many women can relate to the struggles of pleasing God and patiently waiting on his timing. Do you find that there is a lack of self-esteem or self-worth when it comes to women and advancement?
Yes, indeed. It is so sad how many women struggle with who they are. And the thing that they don't understand, and the reason there's a process, you have to go back into that childhood. You have to go back to that first man in your life, which is your father. How did he treat you? How did he set you up? How did he, because the way your dad handled you is the way you look at other men.
That's right.
My father treated me like a queen and I could always go to him and count on him and he was there for me.
That's right.
You will pick up a man in that same arena.
That's right.
But when you have a man that has down-talked you, belittled you, told you you weren't nothing and you ain't never going to be nothing, then when a man comes and he says those same things to you, you believe it because the main man in my life told me that. So now you believe it, and it sets the standard of what you begin to do. I had one person that I encountered, and I do this little thing. Let's go on a field trip, and I take him down to the bathroom to this big mirror. Look in the mirror and tell me what you see. This woman started shaking.
Oh, mercy.
Shaking all over, and she just started crying. I can't look in that mirror. I can't look at her. It was so sad.
That is sad.
Because she had been with this man for 14 years and all he did was tear her down.
Mercy.
And she stayed. She had 3 children by him. So what are you supposed to do? You stay with your baby's fathers.
Mercy.
Never married her. But he tore her down to the point that she couldn't even look at herself.
My goodness.
And so we have to just learn what it is to love ourselves. We're so busy trying to love somebody else. We're so busy looking for somebody to love me and to make me feel. Make yourself feel.
That's right.
Know your worth. Know who you are.
Agreed.
Know in whom, brought you into this world and who delivered you and who set you free. Know the power that God has in that area. That you can now begin to love yourself. Because until you love yourself, you really can't love anybody
You're incapable of loving anybody.
You're incapable.
Exactly. You can't give what you do not have.
And what you don't know how to have.
That's right. If the perfect man came in a scenario such as that, you wouldn't even know him.
You wouldn't appreciate him.
Right, exactly.
There's something wrong with him, and you will badger him down.
Exactly. You'll tear him down.
Until he tells you what you've been used to hearing.
Exactly. And then you'll feel okay.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Amazing. So what advice would you give women in this predicament?
Learn to love yourself. Get some help. We're past the stage of, I just, deal with it. I'm all right. I'm all right. You're not.
No, you're not
all
right.
right.
And it's okay to get some help.
It does not mean because you go to therapy, you're crazy.
Thank you.
This is how we've been raised.
Say that again.
We've been taught if you go to therapy, you're crazy.
Thank you.
If I ask a white person, have you ever been to therapy?
They'll say, yeah.
Their response is, oh, yeah, I've been to therapy when I was little. Me and my brother used to fight. And when my mother and father got a divorce, we all did the therapy thing. If I ask an African American, have you ever been to therapy? Why? You think I'm crazy?
Exactly.
It's a negative.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I get a platform, I just really want people to know it is not a negative. You need somebody neutral, doesn't know you, doesn't know who you're dealing with, is bound by confidentiality.
Agreed.
That you can't tell your business.
Right.
We are in a position to help you sort through what you've been going through. We're there to help you make the best decisions for your life. You make the decision. We just kind of help guide you and teach you different skills and techniques so that later down the road, you don't need us. Because you're equipped now to make the best decisions for your life.
Exactly. So I know that many of my listeners can identify with this topic. So tell me, how can my listeners contact you?
Very easily. I can be reached 1-800-978-1951. That is my office number. And I'm flexible with hours, day and after work. And I would love to just see our people get set free. I'm with VIP Counseling Center, and we'd love to help you sort out some things that you've been struggling with.
Thank you so much, Rhonda, for sharing your experience with our listeners. I know many of them can identify with this topic. If you are struggling in this area or unsure, consider your response to these questions. Are you struggling balancing your relationship with God and other priorities? Do you find yourself unfulfilled, anxious, or overwhelmed? If you answered yes to any one of these questions, I invite you to schedule a free consultation with me at inyourkorner.com. In the meantime, stay connected by subscribing to the podcast and join me every Wednesday. See you soon.